Hello! Last video I mentioned how I have a problem with the NPC and how it walks on air sometimes, which has a very interesting and clever solution. The only problem is I haven't done it yet, so we're talking about this instead. I was legitimately stumped by my little AI problem, so I took a breather and said, okay, what are my actual goals again? I wrote down my thoughts very clearly and specifically, and when I sat back and looked at it, I thought, I could probably work on that. So, Star Wars Battlefront Galactic Conquest doesn't start with the battles, though those are the most important part. It starts from the loading screen to a world map where you choose your starting point. Since I didn't have any lore reasons for any allegiances yet, I decided to try and randomize them on load. At this other scene I'd been using for testing saving and loading files, so I just repurposed it to be a main menu, with only two options: new game, load game. I'll implement loading and saving multiple slots later, but right now I just want to differentiate between a new game and a game being loaded, to get just a little bit closer to the goal. I moved the map back to game state, because now that I know static values persist between scenes, I can just leave it there without fear of disappearing. I also created a second map. Now, this sounds complicated, but hear me out. I was having particular difficulty before with map nodes changing their allegiance, right? When you win a battle, that dot on the map should change from being owned by the enemy to being owned by you. But I also specifically want that animation of it shifting. Now, the map wasn't a static object before, so it had to be saved and loaded every time you left the map screen. But now it is static, and what can I do about that? Well, I can make a list of factions part of the map again. When you enter the scene, load the features from the static map, then have a second identical map, but this one has the differences from the battle. Loop through all the points, and if there's a difference in a faction, do the shift animation. When you win a battle in one of the levels, all you gotta do is send who won and the level index to the second map. It will change it directly. Then, there won't be any wonkiness about loading the level from a file and then changing it. Plus, it gives more authority to the game state. I also made I made a method for loading and a method for creating a new game. And of course, a method for saving the current state of the game. And it all seems to work. Lastly, I went on a cleaning frenzy. It's spring, I was in the spirit. But seriously, I gotta do a side by side. Like, this is insane. Even if you have no coding experience, you can tell this is chaos and this is less chaos. If you do have coding experience, you can tell I removed pretty much all the variables that I wasn't using, or I was using, and that were actually redundant. Then I grouped all the variables of the same type together. Then I grouped all the functions and separated the lifetime functions from the ones I made. Also, you may have noticed that I was using a big X cursor to press the new game and load game in the other menu. I moved the cursor controlling stuff to a different script instead of specifically the map controlling script. So now I can use it in any scene with a menu, and I want to use a controller. Plus, it gets all that cursor movement and clicking code out of the way of my other map controlling code. I have to say, my mind is much more at ease looking at this than this. I bet I can make a cool clickbait video. Super satisfying spaghetti code, straightened, half the lines removed, and the video would get like 1 billion views. Anyway, hopefully next time I've gotten the NPC to stop walking on the sky. I've got some ideas, but they're not good ideas until they work. Thanks for watching, and peace be with you.